So this really is disturbing. We talked about it yesterday, and when I talked about it, I think it had only been removed from YouTube or Facebook, one or the other. Now it's been removed from both. Had over 5 million plays, okay? So this was a video clip of 2 doctors in Bakersfield, California, who run an urgent care clinic, and they were talking about the thousands of patients with COVID who they had treated, what they had observed, and they were expressing their opinions on what they thought would be the appropriate course of action moving forward. YouTube and Facebook determined it to be a violation of their community guidelines.
Unbelievable.
And they removed it. So, because I double dog dare you to remove it here, I want this to live on forever. Let's see a little bit of this clip.
We have both been in the ER through swine flu and through bird flu. Did we shut down for those? Were they much less dangerous than COVID? Is the flu less dangerous than COVID? Let's look at the death rates. No, it's not. They're similar in prevalence and in death rate. So we are saying that our response now that we know the facts, it's time to get back to work. What's interesting to me too is when someone dies in this country right now, they're not talking about the high blood pressure, the diabetes, the stroke. They say, did they die from COVID? We've been to hundreds of autopsies. You don't talk about one thing. You talk about comorbidities. Their vessels were narrowed. Their lungs were a smoker. COVID was part of it. It is not the reason they died, folks.
Okay, calm down there, Himmler.
Wow. What amazes me is that they're saying what this show has been saying the whole month.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, technically,
Amazing.
also last month.
Yeah, we've been saying this for a long time. Honestly,
March 15th.
why do you think we haven't been removed? Do you think it's because you've gotten a little litigious?
I think yes.
They threw the Kraken. They threw the Kraken. Yeah.
That's what Gavin McInnes said in the show.
me.
He's like, frankly, I think it's changed because he said he thought his channel was still up because of you.
Yeah.
That's what Gavin McInnes said.
So
It
should
is-
I send him an invoice or?
Yeah. Send him my invoice.
Okay, done.
For work, I don't know that I performed, but I think I did.
But let's look at these numbers really quick. Is anything that they're saying wrong? Because it's a violation of community guidelines. Now, I can understand
Right.
if it's a violation of community guidelines because what he just said was false. Right?
Right.
Like if he's sending someone with an AR-15 into a pizza parlor for a basement that isn't
Not good.
actually there.
Yeah.
That'd be bad. That would be a bad thing. I
Not
think
good.
we'd all agree, no. Don't go in with a semi-automatic
Yeah,
rifle
don't do that.
into a pizza parlor if they don't have a basement. If they have a basement, then we leave the choice to you. So
Basement's
close.
bad.
in the
Pulled it right
2016 to 2017 season, there were over 61,000 flu deaths, okay?
Yeah.
And this is what was so remarkable. When you research this, and I encourage everyone else to do it, the original estimates were 80,000.
Yeah.
There were 80,000 deaths. And those were actually, they weren't estimates, they were listed, and then they reduced them.
Right.
So that gives you an idea as to, and they do that almost every single year with flu deaths, by the way, because we do not measure death rates very effectively in this country. So they go, oh, flu death, then they go, oh, wait a second, the guy had
Yeah.
lung cancer,
Something else.
and they take it off the list. Undoubtedly, that should happen with the coronavirus deaths, especially since flu deaths have gone down to 0 and they're all registered as coronavirus deaths.
Right.
So the same thing should apply here. So that's actually correct. And then if you look, the antibody studies, which now some people are saying are not valid, but nothing has been valid at this point. Your
right.
testing hasn't been valid. The numbers from China haven't been valid. We have many different antibody tests right now. We have, I think, like 160 something antibody tests. Now, they haven't all been cleared by the FDA. Some are giving us too many false positives. I'll grant you that. But even then, let's split the difference. It's still a fraction of what you thought. All of these tests indicate a 0.5% death rate tops. You know who else said that? Cuomo. That's what he quoted. 0.5% death rate, which I thought was weird because I calculated, I always try and take the most conservative number or the number that gives the left sort of the most amount of leeway when we do this because otherwise people will fact check us. This happened, it went back to Detroit when I said the unemployment rate. Actually, it was the other way. I said the unemployment rate was 27.5% in Detroit. If you go back to my original video. And then someone came out and said, actually, it's 28.1. It's like, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm even more right.
And by the time the video was released, it took 3 weeks to produce. It was 45%.
Oh, my God.
It had gone
Wow.
up. Half of all people in Detroit were unemployed. So now the whole country is Detroit. Congratulations,
There you go.
leftists.
Yes.
Your utopia is now the rest of the country. We can all, too, soon be Detroit.
No, we don't want to be Detroit. No.
Flu is generally 0.1%. So 0.5% to 0.1%. High end is 0.5. The flu is 0.1%. And this is pretty important, too. Not only was this censored, and then I'll toss to the audience here, but there was a medical research center. They announced that they had plans to look into UV light therapy, similar to what Donald Trump described. You know, now he said it.
The best lights.
He didn't say, eloquently. The best lights. They could be Christmas lights. Because listen, it can be Christmas all year long if you keep it in your lungs, folks. And YouTube removed the company's video describing the treatment. This is about
Well, they
is it
should.
endoscopy, where they go down your throat and they could actually put UV light into your lungs to clear it out. That was also removed. This is a video of a company that is working on this treatment right now, and that is removed as misinformation. They didn't even make claims yet. They're just saying, hey, this is something we're exploring. It could work. So doctors who are seeing patients, 5 million plays, removed Facebook, YouTube. By the way, how much do you want to bet that Facebook and Google had a meeting?
And said, uh-oh.
Yes, not one that they would ever admit.
Right.
Sounds possible.
They had a meeting about contact tracing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, by the way, we're going to remove doctors who are skeptical. Oh, yeah,
of course.
Of course. They don't-
Track people's
Why
phones.
wouldn't we?
Yeah,
They didn't agree with that Imperial Dr. Guy Ferguson fellow from England. Well, of course we're going to remove
Yeah,
it. So
needle,
that's the
head pointy.
juxtaposition right now. You've got two doctors who have come out and said, guys, all we're doing is presenting the only data that we have available, and it doesn't line up with somebody who came out and said, I don't actually have data, I have a model.
Right.
And I have a model that has been historically, horrifically, I was wrong, not hundreds of thousands, millions of deaths off, right? Every single time we run this thing, it's bad. And they're coming out and saying, these guys don't need a platform because they're not agreeing with the models that we have. Right. And the only criticism that's being leveled against them right now is that
hair plugs. One of them had really bad plugs.
Maybe. Right. But they've been attacked universally by just about everybody. In fact, my wife was very upset about this last night because people were attacking them, but not saying why.
Your wife's always upset. She wakes up next to you.
Well, that's usually a happy.
By the way, has anyone here ever had their wife get mad at them for something you did in their nightmare?
Yeah, every week.
God.
That's
This
actually
morning, I was like, you are an insane person. This isn't me. I didn't do it. It's a figment of your imagination.
In your head. Yeah,
every
exactly.
single time.
But the only criticism is that these are all people who presented with symptoms or who were somewhat symptomatic thinking that they needed to get a test. Well, if 80% of people are asymptomatic, wouldn't that way over counterbalance that number? Right. So maybe they're saying that this isn't a representative sample, but it actually probably
keep in mind,
is.
too, Dr. Fauci, is Dr. Fauci an expert? Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
He hasn't seen a patient in 20 years.
Right.
These people are seeing patients every single day.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we have one person out there whose data is being included, who is actually seeing sick patients and able to follow up on them?
And the craziest part about this is it's not that we're saying this person is right. We're saying you should consider the data that they are providing from being boots on the ground, right? Every single day, these sources, whether it's left or right, are saying we should take some information, empirical data from the hospitals and use that information to better create our models and understand what we're doing. Except here, YouTube has said, well, this one doesn't match our agenda. So let's just go ahead and keep that one out.
It goes against the World Health Organization.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But even think about what the World Health Organization does. All they do is they go ask other doctors, hey, so what are you seeing out there? Tell us what your data is.
Hold on a second. I don't want to be fact-checked.
Okay.
They never ask for input from Taiwanese doctors.
Oh, that's true.
That's true.
Yeah,
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
It's fair.
They
They
are-
never
and
In
ask-
fact, when it's offered, they
That doesn't
reject it
overlap
as
in the
well.
Venn diagram.
No,
it's just
not
the
allowed.
Taiwan circle. It's boop, 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 boop.
There is no
way
Taiwan
out.
circle.
Way out.
Hey, what
Doesn't
about
exist.
me? No,
But
sorry,
all
Taiwan.
we want to do is hear. All
Yeah.
people want to do is be able to hear it and understand it and make their own decisions.
Right.
But instead, Susan Wojcicki has decided that she is the arbiter of truth as it relates to health information.
Well, we're talking about healthcare professionals. Well, we're talking about medical advice, right? Google, the Alphabet, Google. Wait, it's Alphabet is the parent
Alphabet,
company.
yeah.
Google, YouTube,
Google.
Facebook. They're removing these doctors who are seeing patients, right? These are doctors saying, hey, listen, this is what we've seen with our patients. This is what we've seen with our testing. This is the actual mortality rate. This is what we think would be the best course of action going forward. Cannot be allowed. You must go.
Right.
But today at Vice, right now, there's an article, an entire article advising, prescribing their readers on how to use ketamine, which is a horse tranquilizer club drug and a very dangerous scheduled substance. I know this because I've known people who've gone to ketamine clinics. It's used now in antidepressant therapy. It is very dose dependent, and it has to be monitored at an airtight level. And Vice is like, listen, you probably shouldn't do ketamine, but if you are, let me break it down for you. You should look at my
explain
Apple
exactly
News
how to
feed.
do it.
Yeah.
Is this going to be barred from search on Google? It's instructing kids. What's next? How to make pipe bombs?